Okay, guys. Okay, so the first part we're going to show you is the basics of KMD. Everyone should have a login. Everyone should have KMD access, either via on their phones or their computers. If you guys do not have access, reach out to us afterwards, and we'll make sure that you guys are connected through KMD, login, passwords, and everything. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you a brief description of what you see. So call list, this is what describes your service call. So if you have any service calls that are currently pending, they're going to reside in this box. You have the option to highlight that box. Once that box is highlighted, that means that you're initializing this call. So then you have two options after that. You can swipe to the left, or you can go to the top where it says current call and select there. This call is on hold, but if it wasn't on hold, it's giving me the option to dispatch. So this is the current call that I'm currently on, and then the next tab after that would be my inventory tab. So this is what currently resides in my inventory. Quote, something that we don't utilize in our call system, so you guys don't ever have to worry about quotes. We may be implemented one day when it comes to outside sources, but as of right now, ignore that. If you see sales quotes on your thing, it's just something that you just need to ignore. So the first thing we're going to show you guys is how to open and create a call in KMD. First place you're going to go to is your option bar. You have three squares at the top right corner. You're going to select that, and then you're going to have multiple options. Login information is where you would go to actually log in, and if you wanted to change your password, you can enter your current password and then enter the new password, and then select update. If you do that, it will log you out, and then you will have to log back in. Other options, shop call is something that I'm going to verify to see if they're using. Let's see, go right here, serial. Warehouse, Marin, Eureka. Are those live, Nick?
Yes, also the original ones that were set up before we ever started this transition.
Okay, so I don't see any for them, so we're not going to go into the shop call yet. We'll schedule that for another day. So again, shop call, guys, something you don't have to worry about as of right now, this time and date. Your area hasn't been set up for it. Doesn't mean that it won't come down. Load old data. This is what you would first do if you're having syncing issues. You have the option to load the data. You can load call data. Worst comes to worst, you select reset all data. That would log you out. Then you're forced to log back in. It should resync up with KMD and then pull the information. So these are your options. Pushing pending actions, check versions, shows you the version that you're utilizing. The only main ones that you'll be utilizing is your two refreshes, which is the load call all data and load call data to purge your phone. If you needed to do a full-on clear the cache, then you would do reset all data. So back to opening and creating a call, you're going to go to your supervisor options. You're going to go to the first option, which is create call. Then you have the customer name, serial, and equipment ID. I recommend that we do not use the customer name because it works with our e-automate system, and if you don't know the proper naming convention, you can be there for quite some time. So what we're doing is the best way to open up a service call is either using a serial number or equipment ID. So for testing purposes, I have a machine created underneath test. So I'm going to go ahead and create a service call searching that serial number. Now that I search, it gave me a drop-down option, which I'll select, and it's going to show me everything that I have set up underneath this serial number test. As you can see, there's multiple because I run multiple tests. So for this training purposes, we're actually going to select the serial number test, which is a Xerox 8570. Once I selected that option, underneath the technician drop-down box, you'll then open that drop-down and select your name, which should only be showing your name. In this one, you're going to see multiple because I'm an administrator, but you should just see your name only. And if you're not, and if you don't, and you see other names, please let us know. We can correct that so you don't have to find your name every time. So then I'll go ahead and search for my name. And then you have to fill out the following information: call type, problem code, contact name, phone, and then call notes. So if I went to my ticketing system in the morning and someone opened up a call for copy quality issues. Sorry about that. If someone opened up a call for copy quality, then I'll go in here and select. Sorry. Call type. And the call type, we'll go to select a copy quality. And let me make that bigger for you guys again. Copy quality, then I'll select the problem code. The end user can say line on copies, line on prints. You have those options. Also, Nick, can you please give a brief description of what we're doing here with the acronyms or the breakdowns for short codes?
Of course. To make it a little bit easier to find the problem code you're looking for, we have divided them into categories. The 3-letter or 2-letter abbreviations in brackets are categories. So ACS is accessories, CQ would be copy quality. If we scroll down, there's going to be MSC for MISC. We're going to have ME for mechanical, and then a toner category as well, and the jam category. This is just so if you know the issue you're having is related to a certain type of problem, it'll make it easier for you to find. Also, at the very bottom, you see the XX shop call. That call is only there for system purposes. We require it for a different option that we're using. And this is one that you please don't use this one. Stay away from it. That is just there for other reasons. So you can use all the ones in here, just not the one that says XX shop call.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick.
I got a question. Do we have a legend for those acronyms, like MSC? I didn't catch all those.
MSC is just miscellaneous.
I'm pretty sure, Nick, we can probably pull this list off the auto and send it out to them if they wanted a hard copy of their deck. Correct. All right, so that's something we can do. Give you a legend. Okay, so to continue on, copy quality. We say the customer put lines on copy. Then I'll continue on following up information. Contact name. Now I know all the time, not all the time, but some users, they don't put a contact name or you do not have a contact name. So what I usually do if there's no contact, I'll go ahead and put in no contact. That way, in the future, when I pull up the call history, I'll know when this ticket was open, I had very little information. Same thing with the phone number. Unfortunately, you do need digits. Oops. That's reasonable. Let's see if it'll continue. We're just going to run a quick test on this. And in the call notes, I'll enter the basic information that I would like to know when I'm working on my service call. So I can put the location. We can do the location. We can do the floor, the room number. Also, any additional information on there. So let's just say if it wasn't a copy quality issue and they put an error code and you wanted to see that error code off the top of your head, just so you would remind yourself what it was, you can then enter the error code there as well. I'm going to try to create the call and see if it'll let me enter alphabetic. I don't think so. Yeah, it has to be a valid phone number, which I thought so. So usually when I don't have a contact, it's very simple. I use 0 through 9. And that's also another indicator to show me that the end user didn't provide a contact number. So that's it. Now we're creating our service call. Now our service call is created and it's now in our service box. You'll get a notification like I did on my right-hand side. You'll see it on your phone notifying you that a call has been created. And now I can then dispatch and arrive and complete the service call. So the next step is going to dispatch, arrive, and complete. So in order to select this service call, I need to highlight it. And I have two options. I can either swipe to my left to access it, or I can go up to the top and select current call, and it will access that way as well. So underneath the information, it shows the call that I created. I can verify the information that was input, the time for myself, the time and date, also the model, the serial number, so I can verify all that information. So now I'm going to dispatch to the service call.
Yes.
If you are on site, and you are not driving, then you can skip this option. But if you are going off-site and you want to track your mileage, you would then enter your current odometer and then dispatch. For training, we're going to go ahead and skip. So then once we arrive to our service call, the same thing, we are now going to be arriving, which means is we are done with our transitional stage from dispatching to the service call, arriving on site, and now we're going to work on the machine. So then we select arrive. We would enter our ending odometers here if we went off-site or if we were doing a service call for a different customer and you had to drive. If not, and you're on-site, you have the option to skip.
Well, I'm not partisan, I'm a contractor.
And then now we are arrived on the service call. So this means we can physically work on the machine. So now it's going to now track my time that it takes me to either troubleshoot or to calibrate or basically to diagnose the machine, whatever issue that the customer had to resolve it. In this scenario, we were successfully able to resolve the call without any parts. So the next step we would do is we would go to complete. Now here for the hold for, this is a tab that I'm making it a rule of thumb for everyone, is it's a tab we do not touch. If you have to touch the hold for drop-down box, it means that we may be doing something wrong, and you should immediately just reach out to either your service manager or service director or Nick or myself. And the reason is because we've had a lot of issues in the past where they made this drop-down box, accessible where anyone can grab and then, hey, I need parts, let me put waiting for parts or an inventory issue. But by doing that, it actually changes the process on the way the parts are ordered, or it never even gives you an option to order parts. So just a rule of thumb, guys, hold for, we never want to touch this drop-down box. It's an automated drop-down, it fills itself, and I'll show you in the next steps. So rule of thumb, hold for, I'm never going to touch that. Location code, reason code, we disabled those, so these are not required. The only thing that's required is the right-hand side, which is the actual problem code, and the solution code. So actual problem, again, you'll see our acronyms, and so I had a copy quality issue. Let's just say the customer was correct and they had lines on copies. My solution code, I would go through my solution codes, and I did a general cleaning. Clean the slick glass, make sure the machine was up and running up to par. And then the second is the odometer dispatch. This is where I have an option to make a correction if I realize that I may have fat fingered a digit or I entered the odometer incorrectly. I then can edit whatever, or let's just say I wrote them down and I skipped because I forgot the odometers at my car and I ran and I grabbed them. You can enter them here before you close out. Meters. This is where you're going to enter the meters to the current machine. As you can see, this one is at 0 because it's a test device, and it resets every time. Also, I believe Nick has an announcement to make with the meters.
Yeah, since last week, Monday, we are now able to overwrite meters. So if you come across a machine and under current, the meter is higher than what you're seeing, you will now be able to enter the correct meter and move forward. Before that, you had to contact Shannon for to fix it. Now you can fix it all yourself.
Oh, that's very nice.
All right, thank you, Nick. So again, it is very nice to have that option, but at the same time, we do have to be a little careful because anything we put in there will overwrite. So let's be really cautious when we're entering these meters. So after this, we are completing call 1 of 2. So we're going to go to our next option. And I want you guys to pay attention to something. I want you guys to pay attention to where it says parts on call and parts on order. Right now it says no parts currently on call and no parts currently on order, which is accurate. We've used no service parts in the service call, and we did a basic cleaning. So then I'd enter notes here. So for this one, I'm just going to put test. But we'd enter our notes or any details we wanted to add. I can put service the device, clean the slick glass, talk to our customer, make sure everything was to par, calibrated the machine, anything that any additional information that you felt necessary to be in those notes. This is the option where you would input those notes. So then the next step, very simple, is to complete the call. Right? You select complete, the call is complete, you're done. You successfully opened and closed the service call. But before I do that, I wanted to show you a couple other things. One is obviously the back button. So if you want to go back, you can go back. And if you wanted to cancel what you were currently doing, you can select cancel. And one of the options I really wanted to show you was a capture signature. Again, this is only optional. It's not a mandatory or procedure. So underneath capture signature, it gives you the option to put an email address in here, and then you can enter a phone number. Let me minimize the screen a little bit. Okay, you can enter a phone number, and then you can check. And then you can also have an end user sign that if you wanted to. So what this does, it's going to email you a copy of the service ticket. So I recommend if you have departments that tend to be a little difficult when it comes to closing out a service ticket and possibly calling back because their shift changed and you closed out their ticket and they reopened the ticket saying that they never saw a technician. We do have those end users, but then this would give you the information provided you email a copy of the service ticket to that end user or to yourself. And it would give the signature of the contact of who closed the service ticket. But again, this is only optional. It is a great tool depending on the situations. If you need to utilize that option. All right, so we'll cancel that, and then we'll go back to our initial step. Okay. So back to our first option, complete the service call. That's it. That's how we open and close a call in KMD without using any parts. Any questions so far? All right, perfect. Okay, so the next part is actually the part that we want to emphasize a little bit more on. It's the opening and creating a call and either utilizing a part that we have or ordering parts that we need. So again, we know how to create the service call. We're going to go to our options at the top right. We're going to select supervisor options, then go to create call, and we're going to fill out the following information. It does cache some of the information. We pointed it down to possibly an Android issue versus a KMD issue. If your phone caches information, it will cache, or store any information in there. So again, I'll clear that to make sure I'm cleared, and then I'll go ahead and enter my new serial number or machine ID. And one thing I forgot to mention on the other one is if you come across a machine ID that does not pull up or a serial number that does not pull up. So if you tried both your options, equipment ID and serial number, write down the following. Print out a config sheet, write down the equipment ID, verify the serial number, the location of the printer, and then go ahead and send that to your service director so they can forward that off, or you can submit that to Shannon. Probably Shannon would be ideal, and then CC your service director or service manager to let them know that you found a machine that hasn't been tagged or is tagged but just isn't in our system, so we can get that machine in our system. Okay, so we're going to search this. Again, the drop-down box, I'm going to see which machine it's allocated. As you can see, I have multiple. Again, I'm going to use the Xerox 8570. I'm going to fill out the appropriate information. Select my name. I'm going to fill in the call type. This one will do an error code. So the machine's saying that they have an H501 for you sharp people out there. And, well, this is a good time to use our jamming code. So we'll look for jam. Oops, that's going too fast. So we'll look for jam on here, main unit, or just LCT jam, main unit jam, because they're saying it's jamming. Contact, if there's a contact, I would enter a contact. If not, I would put no contact. Again, a valid number if they entered a number. If not, I would use 0 through 9. Again, this is just so when we pull a record, we can go back to either St. Joseph's or whatever hospital system we're working with and say, well, if you see this information right here populated, it's because there was lack of details in the information, either contact name or phone number. Oops. And next thing we're going to enter is the call notes. So we'll enter call notes. we can enter again, the location of the device. So and the reason why I always recommend location, so if we are going live and we're opening up these calls with 5 to 10 tickets in the morning, instead of having to log into the service ticketing queue and figure out the location, this is kind of like a little notepad where you can enter the location, the floor, the room number, and contact. And again, if you wanted to enter the error code, which we said was an H501, again, we're just utilizing this as our notebook. So now that I'm ready to dispatch and arrive to the service call, same thing. I will select the service call. Then I would go to that current call, and then I'm going to dispatch to this service call after I verified all my information. Enter my current odometer reading. If I'm on site, you can skip this option. Once I get to the location, I would do the same. If once I arrive to the destination, I can enter my ending odometer. If not, and I'm still on site, or it's an on-site call, you have the option to skip. So, as you can see, it's pretty much similar to the call we just did. There's only one step that is different. If we're using parts or completing for parts, instead of going to complete first, we have to go to our inventory. Does that make sense? So we go to our inventory. Okay, we're going to go to our inventory. Now it's going to show what I currently have on hand. So let's just say for this service call, I had to use this operational unit. So then I'm going to select on hand. I have 1 quantity on this call 0, but I just used it, so I'm going to select that. So now this is indicating that I have 1 on hand, and I'm saying I've used 1 on this service call. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to order a part that that I don't have in my stock, but it's in my inventory that I've ordered it before. So we have an 850 DF. So it shows I have 0 on hand, and I want to order 1. So then I'm going to select this, and the order checkbox should automatically populate. That tells me that I am ordering this part unit. If you select 1 and do not see a checkbox, it means that you're telling the system that you are using this part even though it shows 0 on hand. It will allow you to use it. By default, it should always checkbox. So if you come to a part that isn't doing that, or your phone isn't doing that, please let us know so we can get this resolved. But again, the rule of thumb is if you're ordering the part or completing for a part, you're going to order it. The next question is, what happens if you're going to order a part that you've never ordered before in your life? Well, we have our nice filter up here, and then we're going to enter a part. Oops, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yeah, I'm working off a PC, so I hit escape.
Yeah, but
So,
that happens a lot with the phones, where you enter in all the
you guys having a lot of
information and it wipes it out.
You guys are having a lot of crashing?
Yes,
Yeah.
at least I
Hey,
am on
Nick.
my phone.
Okay. Do me a favor. Can you email me the versions of your cell phones, and then we'll check the version of KMD, and then we'll run some tests on our end.
Okay.
Okay. So
It usually happens when I try to type update a spell check. I type in the middle of a word, poof, that's it. So if I just hit the back button, I'm okay. So don't type in the middle of a word.
oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's a good test for us to run. Okay, so as you can see, I've ordered this part. I'm sorry, I used this part, and I should have, let's see if it stored that MX850 on there. I'm not seeing it. There we go. So it did. It's ordering that part still. So then now we're going to order a part that I've never ordered before. So we're going to go MX-ZZ. So it's going to give me an option to add this part to my order. It's going to ask for a brief description, and I'll say, well, it's a drum unit, right? So we'll say it's a drum unit. I'm going to hit OK. Now, as you can see, it allowed me to order this part. So what happens is, if this part has never been ordered before in my inventory, Hyman will get it in his remarks. Actually, he'll get it in the materials tab on eAuto, and then he will order and send the part. If it's a part that we never ordered before in our system entirely, whether it be a new machine or a new part or an upgraded part, he'll get it in the bad sync area, which he'll do his research to figure out, okay, what part the technician is actually ordering. Again, if it's a mistyped part, then it will also go to the bad sync area. So regardless, we can catch it when it's being ordered this way. So okay, so we're ordering this new part that we never ordered for the first time. I can clear my filter and it'll bring me back to my home screen. If I wanted to order another part that I never ordered, I can start typing that part number. Or you can just use this as a quick search to find a part. Okay, so now that I've used one part out of my inventory, I ordered one that was in my inventory that I've had already previously. Now I'm ordering a completely new part that I've never ordered before. So now that we're done here, we go back to current call, and we're going to go to complete call. Now, this is where I want you guys to pay attention. If you notice, our rule of thumb is hold for. It automatically changed itself. So again, the rule of thumb is if you're completing a call for parts or ordering parts, if you're selecting this option, that means that we're doing something wrong. And again, there's no harm in learning, or we all make mistakes, and you just reach out to your service manager and say, hey, I remember in training they said if I had to go to this hold for drop down box, I was doing something incorrect. So I'm coming to you, I need to order this part. But as you can see, KMD does that work for you. Okay, so then we go to our actual problem. Let me see, I put a unit in there. What else? I ordered a drum. So we can put for the actual problem. Interesting, what would I put for that one? Let's do, you know what, we'll do a main drive issue. There we go, that can pop some H501 codes. Solution code, incomplete for parts, because technically that's what I'm doing. I want to make sure that I still have this call open for parts, or closed and reopened for parts. I'll go ahead and prompt enter my new meters, which I can override now. Then we'll go ahead and go to next. Now, you guys see the difference here now from the previous one. The difference is now it says parts on call. It says I'm utilizing one part, which is in my inventory. Parts on order, it's saying you're ordering this MX-850DF quantity 1, and I'm ordering that new part that I never had in my inventory before. So if you're seeing this on call 2 of 2, this is a great sign saying that you're on the right track of completing the service call. Now, again, if you're trying to complete a call with parts and you're not seeing anything here, that's a big red flag to, again, step back, trace your steps, or just reach out to a fellow technician or your service director, service manager, or either Nick or myself, and just, hey, I had a couple questions. I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but it's not populating in my complete call 2 of 2. So then again, your notes area, you can enter any notes that you would like. I'll use test for test purposes. Again, you have the capture signature, which is optional. If this was an end user who can be quite difficult sometimes, then I can at least give them a copy of a service ticket. If not, I will then complete my service call, and then we'll let that complete for a quick second. And this is what will happen. Eventually, I'll get another call in my box, just like this one, and it's going to say status on hold, which means that the call is on hold for parts. So that means on the back end, we have our parts department who would pull a report, and it would show them that this call number 40774 is on hold, and it would either be underneath the materials for the part that I've ordered, and if we've never ordered this part before in our company or e-auto, it would be underneath that sync. And let's go ahead and refresh. We'll try our new options. We'll do load all data to see if this works. Nothing yet. We'll give it a couple minutes. In the interim, any questions, guys?
Overnighting a part, Jeremy?
Okay. Overnight parts are a little bit different. The reason is because we don't really have an option to overnight. So my main suggestion when it comes to overnighting a part that you need, 2 ways of doing this. use the KMD to order the part, get the call number, which is right here, the equipment ID, put an email on there, need parts overnighted, send it to STI, and include your service manager or service director. Then, me personally, I would reach out to my service director, give him a phone call and saying, hey, I just completed a call. You're on that email. Can you please make sure that this part gets overnighted because the machine is down and I have no other loaners or no other devices to get in there. That's the only way that we're going to be able to utilize that process as of right now. I don't think KMD or that's a question that me and Nick can bring up with KMD to see if there's any way to rush order a part or put it as priority. But as of right now, the call system, it sees every call as just open and close and order for parts. When we need to rush devices, it's something that we need to do manually on our end. Does that answer your question? Good question, though.
That'll work, thanks.
I have
okay, any other questions, guys?
This is Curtis. I'm just looking at my queue of tickets or calls, and I've got probably 15 or more. Some of them I stacked for my day yesterday that just knew I was going to have a lot of work. Opened the calls, I put them in the system like you said. So this gives us a way to show who we're working for that we've already acknowledged a call and we've reached out, besides using the St. Joe's system also. So, and some of my calls I have from end of May, and it is in a pending status where I was just in the area touching the machine, cleaning it, adding counters, updating the system. That was a suggestion to do that from time to time, so counters can be seen as updated. And now that I have that pending call open, I have it for copy quality, that I have it as a, I just look at my notes and I really fat fingered this one because I was doing it so quickly. So bottom line is, like, how would I edit this so the information actually makes sense?
Hey, you're here.
I believe you guys have the option to cancel calls. Is that not correct, Nick?
Yeah, that's here.
Yes, but so if the call is pending, that means you haven't completed it yet. And in the complete process, you can change all your codes again. Jeremy,
Okay,
you want
good.
to show that one more time?
Repeat, please.
You go through the
Okay,
complete process one more time and show them how they can change individual problem codes on their calls.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do another quick call. We'll open up a quick service call.
Oh. Actually, no, I just reading it. It's actually not fat fingered. It's using our descriptions. So I get it, but I'm not just. I see what it actually is right here. I probably didn't dispatch myself right. All right.
Okay, not a problem, but we'll just go ahead and go through it real quick since we're all here. And then we'll go ahead and open a call real quick. So again, it shows pending. So pending is the status that means that that call is now ready to be dispatched and arrive. So once we highlight that call, so again, if this call isn't highlighted, so call ending in 41652, if I try to access that service call and I hit current call, it's going to give me the wrong call. So then make sure you're highlighting that call again, and then we're swiping to the left or selecting current call at the top. Now this should be able to, when you dispatch and arrive, and Nick was talking about when you go to the complete options, you have the options here to make your adjustments. So
Okay.
let's just say if you fat fingered and you opened it for something else, the actual problem, you can enter it here. So when we pull a report, we actually know what the call was closed on. So it doesn't really matter it does matter, But, you know, again, when it comes, and the reason why we have the actual code is because from a dispatcher point of view, when a dispatcher opens up a call, the customer can give the dispatcher different information. Hey, it's not powering on. So the dispatcher will open up a call with no power. But you guys have the option to open and create your own service calls. So, but in that case, if the dispatcher did open up that call, when you went to the actual code or the actual closed call, you can actually close the call for what it was. Oh, the machine was stuck in an energy saver mode, or, you know, hey, the machine wasn't powered off, it just it had a paper jam and they just said it was down. Okay, but good question though. Any other questions?
Got another one for you. There's so I've got a ticket where we've got a Petra user account that is the end user, and the call was sent to us to go visit the customer that's not in the St. Joe's system. They are, but they're not. But we went over, we saw the device was moved by a third party, device was damaged. Since it's a large Innovation or Providence customer partner, that managers have to negotiate with what their fix is going to be. So I have the call on my queue. So what would I do with it if it's been sitting there since April 24th? There's no resolve.
I would go ahead and close out the call as a down machine. Close it out as see what options you have in there for kind of generalizing it being down, and then in your call notes, I would put the reason why it's down and the reason. You kind of leave your brief explanation, and then get that call number and equipment ID and forward that off to your service director. And then that way the call can be out of your box, but you still have a record of the call number. So if they ever came back to you and said, well, remember that service call, you can then look up your email and find that service call, and then we can pull it up in our system and read the notes that you populated in there saying, oh, this is what Curtis did. He did this, he went there, he did that, and this is what's pending now.
Okay. All right. I'll work with that. Yep. Might not be pretty, but I'll get it done.
No problem. Okay, guys. So that's pretty much the training. Again, opening and closing the service call. The other thing is, guys, remember we're going live with this, so let's try to do this as live. It's going to be mandatory across the board. I know it's going to take some time getting used to, but eventually what's going to happen, it'll become second nature to us. Also, there was one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, so if you need any additional training, guys, please do not hesitate to reach out to Nick and myself or your service director and saying, hey, I went through the first training course. I would like a little more additional training. I have some questions. If you have questions, guys, write them down. Put your service director on there, CC Nick and myself, and we'll try to address all those questions. Our goal ultimately is to have everyone pushed out 100% within a month's time frame. So this being I wouldn't really consider this the first week. We'll start maybe next week. But my option to you guys is let's open and close as many service calls as we can using KMD. Week 2, we want to see that number increase. Week 3, again, we want to see it increase. And by week 4, we want to make sure everyone's been trained properly, and we have all the, basically, we've provided you guys with all the tools that you need to succeed with KMD. And it's a great opportunity for you guys to point out features that we may be missing. So again, any questions, don't hesitate. Any additional training, do not hesitate, reach out to us. Again, we're looking at about a month to we've pushing this out 100% and putting all responsibilities on the service directors and the technicians.
Got it.
Sound good?
Okay, Jim, I got one more question, and that's about the parts order from KMD. Parts have gone in. It's shown up on. We put the call on hold, waiting for parts, and so then Jaime picks up the orders of parts. They arrive. Sometimes they're not showing up in the system. It's been suggested to send a quick email stating that parts have arrived and installed. Please add to our inventory.
Correct. That is the fastest way to get the word, but CC your service director on that, please.
Okay.
Okay. It's something that we are aware of. Unfortunately, there is some processes that we're still trying to finalize on our end when it comes to the warehouse. In theory, when
Okay.
the part ships out, it should be in the technician's inventory prior to shipping. But we are seeing cases to where the parts are just being shipped, and then we're having technicians email STI or parts department saying, hey, I've got the parts, please release the call and please put the parts in my inventory. Eventually, the process is to go to where once the part has been shipped, prior to the part being shipped, the call has been released and the part is transferred to that technician's inventory.
We'll see that in real time as we're working on the calls too.
Correct.
So,
Alrighty.
for-
All right, guys. I'm sorry, I do have a hard stop at 12. Any additional questions, Nick? Do you mind addressing those for me?
I got you.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just leave the phone on mute since I was the host. Nick, go ahead and answer any additional questions. Guys, it was a pleasure. Again, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me, Nick, and include your service managers.
All right, I have one thing to point out real quick that came up with a different technician over here, and that is currently you can only be dispatched to one call at a time. Whenever you dispatch to a call, you will not be able to dispatch another call. That also means that if one call is dispatched, everything on all the other calls will be grayed out. So if you try to dispatch to a call and everything is grayed out, chances are you're dispatched to a different call. You gotta undispatch yourself first. That's just a note that I needed to bring up. Any questions?
I've had that situation where I've needed to release myself from a call to go take care of something quickly, and then come back to the call. So
And that's great, yeah.
Yep. So it's worked for me. On the parts, notifying for the parts being received, do we include Val? Do we include our service manager and our team also, right? So everybody's aware of it?
Yeah, include Val, include your service manager, and that should be good.